We left last time with the question, can a Christian be a member of the Republican or Democratic parties? I had noted Proverbs 17:1. He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the just, both of them alike are an abomination to the Lord. Well, we ought to also consider what the Apostle Paul wrote in Romans 13, because here he teaches it is God who has ordained government for the preservation of those who do what is right in His sight. A government that will suppress evil, suppress wickedness, but will uphold and will praise and will honor those who do what is right. Right not according to their definition, but right according to God's definition as it is in His Word. Well, let's consider what the Apostle Paul wrote in Romans 13, just in the first 3 verses of this chapter. Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God. And the authorities that exist are appointed by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authority resists the ordinance of God. And those who resist will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to evil. Do you want to be unafraid of the authority? Do what is good, and you will have praise from the same. Here Paul says, every person is to be subject to governing authorities, for authorities have been ordained by God. Government is ordained of God. And that we are to be obedient. Because government that is ordained of God has been ordained for the purpose of what? Being a terror to evil, but not to those who do good works. Government must issue justice to its people. Justice not based upon which political party is in charge or what government has overthrown the nation, but rather a government that must rule according to God's standard of righteousness. Therefore, Paul clearly commands us, be subject to government. Government is as accountable to God as we are to government. It is His minister for civil righteousness in any nation. Thus, he makes the qualification and clarification that rulers, leaders, those who are in authority are not a terror to good works, but they are a terror to evil. Thus, if you do what is good, good as defined by God's Word, you will have praise from that civil authority. We're also told in Job 12:23 through 25, that it is God who is in control of nations. It is God who builds up nations, who controls their leaders. And I think here we find the explanation of what is happening within our nation. Listen to Job 12, verse 23 through 25, carefully. He makes nations great. That is God. God makes nations great, and He destroys them. He enlarges nations, and He guides them. He takes away the understanding of the chiefs of the people of the earth. and makes them wander in a pathless wilderness. They grope in the dark without light, and he makes them stagger like a drunken man. It is God who builds up. It is God who destroys. He enlarges, He guides, He directs their path. And when nations do not honor Him, He takes from them His blessing. And in doing so, He does it in this manner. He removes the wisdom, the understanding of their leaders. And then He makes them wander as a people in a pathless wilderness. No path to follow, being swallowed up in the wilderness. The wilderness of discontent. He says they grope in the dark without light. They're trying to find their way. They're trying to understand what is the path back to restoration of their nation. But they do not have the light, because they have rejected His word. They have not instituted His laws. There is no justice before God or righteousness. And what does He do to their leaders? He makes them stagger like a drunken man. They are as inebriated individuals who cannot think, cannot find their way, and cannot walk upright. That is the condition we find the leadership in America today. We'll continue this in our next session.